one of the last shows I did with Anthrax in December 1983 was opening up for Metallica. So, I mean, that was the magic of crossover, that, you know, taking all that stuff and making it into one little package. One little package. So, that's when yeah. Sorry, still have the infantile sense of humor. You know, fucking horrible Attila vocals. It was just us, Brutal Truth, and a bunch of Norwegian black metal bands, because they also played fast, too. America, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and, man, guy's out of his fucking head. I mean, I've seen him as the Easter Bunny, too, so who knows?
When did you see him as the Easter Bunny?
Cheers. In honor of recent current events, this is a presidential IPA.
Oh, look at that. It looks fancy.
So,
you see this one? The Margarita Goose.
Margarita Goose.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
Skull.
Yeah, Skull. God damn it, long time no seen.
Yeah, that's obviously been a major issue with this whole pandemic thing, and you know, hopefully there'll be a vaccine that we're hearing about, and we'll be able to have a normal life. Maybe there'll be an obscene extreme next year. But also, I want to apologize if I have slight Michael Jackson hair, because it's Sunday, so my hair might still be a little wet. You know, I can't moonwalk, and I'm still alive.
You have that hairline and that hair that I would fucking kill a kitten for. So today we have fucking Dan Lilker with us. He's the bass player of Nuclear Assault, ex-Brutal Truth, Stormtroopers of Death, Stormtroopers of Beer, of course, with Adde from BIRDFLESH, and many more bands. We'll get into that later. And he's a really cool, friendly guy. I met you a couple of times at Maryland Death Fest, California Death Fest, Scandinavia Death Fest, Obscene Extreme, of course. I had Marissa Martinez as a guest yesterday, and the last question for her was, describe Dan Lilker with 3 words. Do you want to have a guess, or should I just go at it?
Hopefully it will be something like... nice, cool dude. I don't know.
Yeah, sharp.
Sharp.
Comfortable to be around.
Really comfortable to be around.
And sarcastic.
Sarcastic.
Oh, well, I am from New York City originally, and a lot of people from New York tend to be sharp-witted, or sarcastic. It's how you get by, or else everyone will step on you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not sarcastic. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, like that.
How would you describe yourself?
Oh, that's always difficult, describing yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a pretty chill dude. I could be more assertive sometimes and stand up for myself a little more. But basically, I'm a pretty mellow dude, which makes sense with the music I play, because people might say, people who play really intense music should have intense personalities, but actually... playing intense music has the therapeutic effect of chilling me out. So any aggressive tendencies I have are filtered out in a therapeutic way. So, yeah, it was like the old thing, when you're 16 and your mom's mad at you and you go in your room and blast Slayer or something like that. It's the same thing, but I do it with my own music.
Yeah. Are you born and raised in New York?
Yes, I'm originally from Queens, New York, where I lived until I was 35. So I've lived up here in Rochester, New York, for about over 18 years now, but I originally am from New York City. Rochester is about 350 miles, about, 540 kilometers, however you want to say, from New York City, because New York State's pretty big. So I don't remember the distance from like Stockholm to Gothenburg, but it's something similar.
Yeah, all right. When was the first time that you came in contact with extreme music?
Extreme music? Well, it depends how you want to define that then, but in the 80s, extreme music was like really fast hardcore, or maybe, you know, in Repulsion, stuff like that. I'm more on the death metal side, so I suppose you could say, even like the first DRI album, of course, if you're talking about classic fast hardcore that set a lot of standards, you could say, I guess, 83, 84. This also includes like Discharge or Hellhammer, you know, bands that at the time are outside of the loop of, you know, even then Metallica was bordering on extreme. So if you could think of how that might sound silly or quaint now because they changed and of course music got a lot more intense, but yeah, mid to early to mid 80s, I guess.
Yeah, what was the band that won you over to the dark side, to the right side?
Oh, probably like Venom or something, because that would have been before I heard a lot of hardcore. I had a friend who we were in a music store in like 1982 or something. Not a music store, a record store in Queens where I grew up. And it had a small metal section with vinyl. And, you know, you flip through those records and the next thing you know, you're looking at the Venom black metal album cover. So in 1982, you know, seeing Baphomet there was like, whoa, what the fuck is this? Because, of course, I'd been familiar with Angel Witch and, you know, other bands that had occult references, but these guys were doing it fully. So I guess, yeah, that, and then getting into really fast hardcore stuff, DRI, and then more underground stuff at the time, like Siege and all that.
Yeah.
So it was the combination of kind of, I guess, evil metal and fast hardcore that kind of all I got exposed to in a very short amount of time. So it's hard to say what was first.
Yeah. Would you say, like from the beginning, that you were more into the hardcore side of it, or like the metal part of it?
I think I was equally into both of them because they both had the metal side maybe had better musicianship and better production, but the hardcore side had more speed and desperation and lyrics that were maybe more relevant. So I mean, that was the magic of crossover, that, you know, taking all that stuff and making it into one little package. So that's when yeah, sorry, I still have the infantile sense of humor. I'm sure UK Svensson got a giggle out of that, right, buddy? Anyway, yeah. So what I tried to do back then, without even really thinking about it, was take the best of both of those types of genres and just make a little recipe, take what you needed from this and that, and smash them together.
Yeah, that's fucking cool. Your first band, I mean, the first band that I know that you played in was Anthrax.
Well, I'd been in bands before that never really went anywhere. They were just like cover bands. But Anthrax, yes, would be the first band that I achieved any kind of notoriety or whatever you would call it. I mean, after that, obviously, you know, SOD, Nuclear Assault, and then I went on to faster, more brutal things. But yeah, Anthrax was the band that, you know, anybody who knows me would know that was the first thing they would know me from.
Yeah.
You know, unless they went to summer camp in Long Island in 1978 or something.
You were in one of the recordings. It was the first album in '84.
I was on the Fistful of Metal record that came out in '84. I appeared on a 7-inch in 1983, the Soldiers of Metal 7-inch, with an earlier lineup of Anthrax. That was, by the way, produced by Ross the Boss from Manowar.
Oh, shit.
Which, yeah, interesting little factoid there. But yeah, right. Sign of the Hellhammer.
Commercial time.
Motherfucker.
Well, I started a Patreon. Wheelmust is now on Patreon. It's Wheelmust on Patreon. Well, if you want to help Wheelmust on Patreon to grow bigger, stronger, and also have this awesome fucking cool shirts, well, go on to Patreon, Wheelmust. You will also get some extra material that I won't release on YouTube, and you are also able to send me video questions to upcoming guests, which you will know in beforehand which guest it will be. On Patreon, Wheelmust. Just look at that shirt. Yeah, imagine yourself in that one. Awesome. Well, Back to Dan. Cheers.
I was asked to leave Anthrax 3 days before that album came out and thusly formed Nuclear Assault, but I don't want to jump ahead. And of course, if people want to know, yes, I was thrown out of Anthrax, not because there was anything I was doing badly, but because the original vocalist, Neil Turbin, didn't like me, and they thought it was more important to keep the front man, even though I'd written most of the first record. But everything happens for a reason, dude.
Yeah. Do you feel like bummed down nowadays? I mean, if I would have been in that in your position at that time, I would have felt pretty bummed out a couple of years after. But how long time did it take for you to like get over Anthrax?
Well, I mean, I had mixed feelings. I mean, of course, I was disappointed, maybe more than disappointed, because, you know, here I was like a 19-year-old kid, and you think you're going to be on your first debut album, and it's coming out next week, and then, boom, you get that. So, of course, that was a bit of a setback and a bummer, but I chose to, I don't know if you have this expression there, but when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, they say. So, meaning that you take your situation and do what you can with it to achieve a positive outcome. So I said, okay, so for some reason I've been thrown out of Anthrax, which sucks, but I'm going to take advantage of that situation and form another band where I might have some more creative control and steer things in a heavier, faster, darker direction, which I did with Nuclear Assault. And Anthrax, then they got Joey 7 months after that, and for a while there, they were more kind of on the more melodic side, which I think might have been difficult for me to do. So, again, everything happens for a reason. And sure, I was bummed out, and of course, yeah, maybe going on to see them having lots of success, but it would have been stupid for me to get that bummed out about it, because I wanted to play more intense stuff anyway. So I ended up just doing what I did and being happy with it. And, you know, I could sit there and go, those guys made a lot of money and blah, blah, blah. But had I stuck around and made that kind of money, I wouldn't have been fulfilling creatively.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Which is easy to say, but that's how I feel.
From quitting Anthrax to starting Nuclear Assault, we are talking like a period of not more than a year, right?
Well, you're talking actually less than a week.
Right at it.
Yeah. Well, I had to do something. I'm not going to sit around and feel sorry for myself. Yeah. And I knew that John Connolly lived one neighborhood over. I grew up in Bayside, Queens. He lived in Whitestone, Queens, which is just the next neighborhood, town, whatever you want to call it. And he had been an original member in the very, very early incarnation of Anthrax when we were like 16 as a vocalist. But he hadn't really gotten his vocals down by then, so he didn't work out with that. But a couple of years later, 3.5 years later, when I found myself without a band, I knew that he all this time had been sitting over there in Whitestone, Queens, playing guitar and working on stuff, and I knew that he would be a perfect person to start another band with. So I seized on that immediately. I mean, of course, it took us a while to get a proper lineup and write music, so I had to play catch-up. So Game Over didn't come out until October 86, when Fistful of Metal came out in January 84, but that time was necessary to find the right lineup and write music and find our sounds. So, yeah, I mean, we never would have been in the big four. Not that matters. That's just some arbitrary number, so.
Yeah, exactly. About the big four, have you ever played with any of the other bands? I mean, like play the same shows with any of those bands?
Sure. Actually, one of the last shows I did with Anthrax in December 1983 was opening up for Metallica in Mount Vernon, New York, which is in Westchester, not far from New York City. Nuclear Assault's played with Megadeth at various festivals, more modern ones like Hellfest, or even older ones like Leeds, England in like 1988. Nuclear Assault did a whole bunch of shows with, not a whole bunch, but we did a UK tour with Slayer, South of Heaven, Hands with Care tour, So, yeah, I have played with all those bands in the Big Four. And actually, Anthrax, Nuclear Assault opens up for Anthrax in the old days at Lemoore in Brooklyn a few times. So, ironically, yeah, even the band that I used to be in. So, I did actually perform with all bands in the Big Four at one point or another. I think I got them all covered there, yeah.
So there isn't any like bad blood nowadays between you and the guys in Anthrax?
No, because first of all, that means I would have to be angry for 36 years,
36,
which
yeah.
yeah, I'm not Neil Turbin, so I'm sorry, I keep saying and that's Americans for you. I'm fairly certain that when I got a phone call in April 1985 from Scott Ian saying, do you want to play in this hardcore band with us? We're going to call it Stormtroopers of Death. That was his way of saying, we kind of fucked up throwing you out. We should have thrown out Neil. I still want to play with you in some aspect, so let's do this. And had I been a bitter, angry person, I would have gone, no, fuck you. You threw me out of Anthrax. But instead, I just did typical Danny and said, sure, that sounds cool. Why not? Having no idea it was going to, explode into SOD, this iconic crossover band, with controversial lyrics that you could never have today, by the way.
No.
So, yeah, which is a shame, but that's another whole topic.
Yeah, but I mean, the title, Speak English or Die. Did you see the BIRDFLESH rip-off shirt we did of you guys?
I'm not sure I have. There's a BIRDFLESH Speak English or Die aspect shirt? No.
I'm gonna send this to you. You're gonna.
Oh, please.
I think you'll enjoy it. It almost has the same skull, but on the pin and stuff it says "dö," which means die in Swedish, and it says "Don't speak when die."
That's very Japanese sounding, actually.
Yeah, it's a guy from Malaysia that did it.
Oh, don't speak when die.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. You're not going to do a lot of speaking when you're dead.
Yeah. So the last time I saw you, it was at Scandinavia Death Fest.
Yeah, thank you for the cigarette. Yeah, that was, of course, that was the before times, right? Now with the pandemic. Yeah, that was September 2019. And at that time, I was temporarily suffering from a back pain that went away, fortunately, but it was just a sign of my age. I remember saying something on stage because in between songs I would go back and sit on the drum riser for a second just to let the pain subside. And I remember saying it to the microphone there in Stockholm, if you wonder why I keep sitting down, I have a backache. I'm going to be 55 next week. So I tried to make it like, I'm still out there doing this for you guys, even though it fucking hurts.
Yeah.
So I tried to find a heroic side to it and score some points. But no, I remember that. I remember the big Globe Hotel, and conveniently right around the corner from the venue. And I think the problem with that show was that the Swedish police seem to be very strict if people are walking out of a venue, even if they're not driving anywhere, if they're visibly intoxicated. Yeah. They seem to be hassled by the cops, at least in Stockholm. And thereby, the MDF crew, the promoters who are doing the show around the world, are not, once everything subsides and we can do this stuff again, they're not going to do it there again because, anybody walking out of the venue who's not walking a straight line is going to get hassled by the cops. And I mean, if you're not driving anywhere, then, and you're not smashing bottles and punching anybody, then I don't get it. So
yeah, there is some there is a long answer behind that, but like the short one is, there's a rule in Sweden that says
restaurants that serve alcohol to noticeably intoxicated guests or to young people under the age of 18 can get rid of their serving license.
I am the man who will fight for your honor. I am the hero, you're in love.
Serving staff who serve alcohol to noticeably intoxicated or minors can be fined or imprisoned.
It's not your fault, it's the bartender's fault. So the bartender and the bar will get the fine.
Oh.
So that's the reason why they have this, and they are so strict. But I think it's more strict in Stockholm, especially in that area where we were. It was very, very close to the centrum because it's just behind the Globe, like the big stadium. Yeah, I never been stopped in Malmö where I live or any other town, but I heard in Stockholm that they are sons of bitches.
Well, I mean, seems to me it should be more about personal responsibility. You know,
You're an American.
right. I know. It's everybody takes care of everybody there, and it's great. You have such a great health plan and everything, but yeah, maybe there should be a little more independence, and it's a responsibility of the person drinking to look after themselves, and the bartender shouldn't have to be somebody's mother.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Yeah. You know, you walk out of a bar here and get hit by a car. Too bad, fucko.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I can totally understand that point of view to 100%. I mean, myself, I also worked as a bartender, so I had to say no so many times because I know that it's my job that is online, and it's my fucking employer that will get the fine, you know.
Well, I mean, of course we have stuff here like common sense. I work at a record store that has a bar in it, and in normal times, you know, we would have once a month we'd have a metal Meltdown, and a bunch of people would come down, you know, and listen to black and death metal and drink beer and everything. And the point is that I got trained on the bar, and obviously if you see somebody who's completely shit-faced, you don't serve them. But if somebody has 2 beers and then they go in the bathroom and take a giant bottle of vodka out of their jacket and drink it and then go outside, you know, we didn't do anything wrong. We can't police people. So I'm just saying, you know, obviously even anywhere a bartender isn't going to serve somebody if they have like puke all over themselves, but there has to be a line somewhere.
The ironic thing is when you work in a bar in Sweden, you know that the people that works in the bar, they're actually the people that drink the most and most often gets the most drunk. So yeah, we went from nuclear assault in Scandinavia Deathfest. That's how we came into this one. Else from that, how was it to be back in Sweden? I mean, the last time it was the late 80s, early 90s, 91?
I think the last time that Nuclear Assault had played would have been in the 80s. Now, I would have been back there, you know, with Brutal Truth, or I mean, I'm not sure if Venomous Concept ever. Yeah, Venomous Concept, we did not play in Stockholm, but we did have a show in Gothenburg just a few years back. So I've been back there here and there, but let's see, what was it, 2013 that Brutal Truth played Pussy A Go-Go?
Ah, that's a cool club. Yeah, Elizabeth, yeah.
So there was that as far as performing in Sweden. And, you know, I have a lot of friends there, obviously, in all parts of the country, like yourself. So, but, yeah, it's always cool to be there. You know, I mean, like I said, I have a lot of friends, and just hang out and party with people, drink some good beers, just do what you do.
Yeah. My favorite place in the United States, I haven't been in that many places, but I would definitely say New York. What's your favorite place in Europe?
Well, that's a rough one because there's different places. I have like really good memories. You know, you could say Trutnov, like all the great festivals at Obscene Extreme, or, you know, for the potheads, you know, anywhere in the Netherlands, you know, because that's obviously been legal since you can remember. But, you know, just let's say like Barcelona. I've had amazing shows with Brutal Truth in the small town of Badalona outside of Barcelona. So it's really difficult to say, man, because I've had great times all over the place there. You know, anywhere from fucking Bratislava to, you know, Oslo, whatever. So really difficult. It's hard to answer those questions.
Yeah.
We'll say Barcelona just because those people fucking grinded so fucking hard. It was intense.
Awesome. And you mentioned Trutnov. I think everybody that listens to this podcast knows about Obscene Extreme Festival. What's your greatest memory from Obscene Extreme?
It would probably be when they did the little surprise birthday party for me in 2014. You know, it was very touching. You know, the Chirby, of course, old friend by now, and Obscene Extreme is a great fucking festival. I've played there. I've had the opportunity and luck to play there with like various bands. You know, like me and Ade actually have like a joke about that between MDF and Obscene Extreme. All the bands we've played in that have played there. You know, so I got to play Obscene Extreme, you know, with Nuclear Assault, Brutal Truth, Venomous Concept, you know, Stormtroopers of Beer, probably other fucking bands I don't remember. But, yeah, 2014 was the one where it was my 50th birthday later in the year, so Chirby put this whole thing together and made this giant banner. So they stopped in the middle of what would have been then one of the last Brutal Truth shows when we stopped doing stuff again. And the cake was brought out on stage, you know, just like a big birthday thing. So that was very touching. And, you know, and the whole crowd out there. So, you know, just obviously I've been doing this for a long time. And I realize that a lot of people respect me for what I've done in all these bands and everything. I try not to let it go to my head and turn into an egomaniac or an asshole. But, you know, that was very touching. You know, you get a little lump in your throat that all these people are just like, yeah, happy birthday, dude. So there's that. But just in general, just playing there and just seeing the freedom people have, dressing how they want, going on stage, if maybe not even wearing anything, and stage diving with their balls flying around. You know, you don't see that in many places. You'll never see it in this country, you know, except maybe at drunk country shows. I don't know.
What is the most funny costume that you've seen at Obscene Extreme, or no clothes at all for that matter?
Oh, well, I mean, of course, you got your banana people. There's the dudes dressed in, like, pink tutus. Then there are these two chicks, they hung out by the security. One was dressed as a nun. And they would have this little routine where the other chick would, like, go under her habit and pretend that she was, you know, performing a sexual act on her and everything. Just little wacky things like that are... yeah, just that a dude's going to walk around in a banana suit all day. That's great. You know, I'm not going to do it, but yeah, no, it's like kind of like the Woodstock of, you know, extreme music, because it's just such a great atmosphere and, you know, no violence, never has been. Maybe because you always serve that shitty weak beer. I don't know.
Gambrinus. But it's nice to have a more light beer if you're gonna drink all day. You know, you're on shit face at 3 o'clock.
That is true, and especially when you're performing, you have to pace yourself.
Yeah.
And I understand that as a musician. You know, people are paying to see me. I can't be on stage just shitty drunk, not being able to do my job. I've done that a couple of times, but try to avoid that.
You're maybe not that proud of yourself at that moment.
Right. You're like, oh God, what did I do?
I fucking know people that drank so much that they actually pissed their pants and kept on playing the whole set for 30 minutes. So.
Well, I mean, we are friends with the Agathocles guys, you know, those wacky Belgians. They're known for enjoying a few beers, you know, Jan and Nils and those guys. I've heard funny stories where, you know, they wouldn't let them on airplanes because they were just completely hammered. And, you know, we have to get to the festival, move, you know. And yeah, I've had a couple of experiences where taught me a lesson and like, okay, you got to start drinking later tomorrow. Yeah. You know, don't disappoint people and be a shithead.
What is the worst story? I mean, something like really either tragic or just fucked up that later became a fucking great story to tell somebody else. Maybe to maybe as a lesson, like don't do this because this will happen. Do you get what I mean? Okay,
well, the 2007 Obscene Extreme. Do you remember when my bass smashed? 2007. Was it 2007? No. Maybe it was.
That was too early for me. I've been there for 11 or 12 years.
Okay, no. It was a year later. It was a time later than that because I think I had to borrow a Rickenbacker from the dude who was in BIRDFLESH at the time.
Hampus Klang, probably.
Yeah.
The guy with the skull mask, right?
I don't remember the guy exactly. It would have been before, UK was in the band, but...
Yeah, he plays in Bullet nowadays, the heavy metal band. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, at that show, Brutal Truth was about to go on stage, and I had my PV bass, and I put it up on the drum riser and just had it sitting there and said, okay, we're on in 5 minutes. I got to go take a piss or finish this joint or maybe both simultaneously, because it's Europe, you can do that. And I came back up to the stage afterwards, and my bass was in a slightly different position, and I picked it up and put it on, and it had smashed up by the neck and the top where you tune the machine head part. Dude, I guess what had happened when I was taking a piss or something was that somebody had knocked it over, it had fallen over, and somebody went, oops, and put it back, but the way it had fallen, it had smashed and made it unplayable. So this isn't about drinking too much, but this is more about being careful with your equipment because, okay, we all have those stress streams. You have a stress stream, you're about to do a show, but now there's a problem and you can't do it because, there's no strings on your guitar or, your amp's not plugged in yet. So this was like a stress stream come to life where I come like, okay, come back, empty bladder, ready to go on stage, put my bass on, and it's smashed and it's unplayable. We're going on at 3 minutes. So I had to borrow a Rickenbacker from your old bass player, and Rickenbackers, they make me bleed because it's a flat surface. So when you fucking play really fast, it
heats
just
up.
yeah. So my biggest lesson is use a guitar stand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good,
that's it.
Good lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important. It's not, don't drink too much. You learn that lesson anyway.
Yeah.
So just be careful with your gear or your stress stream will come true.
And gear is also fucking expensive, and we all know that this scene is maybe the not most paying one.
No, but if I was worried about money, then I'd be playing fucking commercial shit, wouldn't I? So.
Would you say that Obscene Extreme is your favorite festival to play at?
It's definitely one of them. Obscene Extreme, Maryland Death Fest, maybe because it's more convenient because all I have to do is drive 6 hours or something. But that's also for that convenience. That's a great festival too. But Obscene Extreme, yeah, the atmosphere, it's definitely the coolest festival. It's just for us Americans, we have to fly to Prague and then drive to Trutnov to do it. But that's okay. I've done that a few times.
Yeah. Do you feel that that travel is a part of the adventure sometimes? I mean, do you enjoy the travel? Do you enjoy the company of your band members?
Actually, it was the travel that was the biggest contributor to me wanting to retire in 2014. And it wasn't the company of the band members. It was trying to get where you're going on time with all your shit and having had some sleep. That became more of an exception than the rule. It used to be, maybe because I lived in New York and you had direct flights to more places, that it was never an issue just getting where you're going. But it seems that in the last, 15 years from now, like the travel industry, and this is obviously before COVID, just everything had just gotten shittier where, to get where you're going on time with all your gear, with enough sleep, became like, holy shit, it happens, I'm here. And, there was just too many problems with flights getting delayed, mechanical problems, other issues that just made every time I traveled, it became seriously stressful. One time coming back from Hellfest, like in 2013 or something, it's like you go to Paris and then your flight's canceled, and then no, it's not canceled, and then you have to go back down. I'm not going to tell you the horror stories. And even if I tell them now, if I recite all the things that happened, they don't sound as bad. But when you're experiencing them and you've also had 4 hours of sleep in the last 2 days due to, driving out to, what the fuck's the name of the town Hellfest is in? It's near Nantes. I know, but the point being that traveling got so stressful, dude. I would get home and just want to take my passport and put it in a paper shredder, like, So once you get where you're going, it's great, but there's just too many things where even if it's not me, it's somebody else. Like, because when you get to our stage in life, people live in different cities and then meet up in Europe. So you're like, our drummer's flight got delayed. I don't know if he's going to make it. Just too much. It became very, very stressful. And after a while, I just said, I don't feel like dealing with this shit anymore. And there was other stuff I didn't want to deal with. But, yeah, so airlines, I forgot what airline it was when I was young. They had a slogan that getting there is half the fun. And that became a very ironic and hateful speech.
Yeah. Yeah. We have all had our problems with airlines. Do you remember the show at California Death Fest where my gear and my clothes didn't arrive? And Eric Burke from Nuclear Assault, Slovaco, so forth. We're gonna talk about him later. Your band member, he borrowed me his guitar, Stratocaster. God damn it, I hate Stratocasters. I fucking can't play them. I couldn't find like the proper
Sweet
way
spot.
to. Yeah, exactly. I just couldn't play it properly, and I hadn't no clothes. I couldn't just wear my own t-shirts. I went out without a t-shirt and played this fucking show on the Stratocaster, and I didn't figure out like the right distortion, and it just sounded like shit. That's the only time when people came up afterwards and said, "Oh, awesome show," and I felt like, no, this time I fucking know that you're lying.
Right. But, they're not, because it's, we get self-critical and we have to deal with stuff, but people don't always notice that. August 2019, Nuclear Assault did shows in South America. We were supposed to start in Peru. That flight got all fucked up for me and the aforementioned Eric Burke, because we both live in Rochester. By the time we got to Lima, Peru, it was midnight the day the show was supposed to happen, so they had to blow off the curfew and rush us to the show. We did not have our equipment or our clothes, so I had to play some weird white precision bass. First time ever in Peru. People have been waiting 25 years to see Nuclear Assault, and I have to play some weird bass with a distortion pedal, having just gotten out of a fucking van. It's the same thing where people will come up later. Yeah, people will come up later. It was an amazing show. I'm like, well, it would have been fucking better if I had my shit.
Yeah.
And I went 5 or 6 days on that tour without my clothes. Now, it was winter in South America. I had flown out of a New York summer wearing my shorts, and now all I had was my shorts. We went to the south of Chile and played in a small town, and it was cold and windy and raining, and I'm dressed like I'm going to the beach. So shit happens and you deal with it.
Yeah. 2014, you said that you were not gonna play that many live shows anymore. That's the reason why Brutal Truth broke up, right?
Yeah. I still play shows now. That's obviously before all this COVID shit, but I had joined Blurring by then, which is where Eric Burke plays drums in.
Yeah.
And I was also playing black metal with Nocturnal Hellstorm, which broke up in 2017 because our vocalist moved to Texas. But I get, at my age and with what I feel like doing with traveling, I still get to play extreme music, and I've done all the touring, I realize for somebody watching this who's 21, they want to go out and see the world and blah, 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 then that's great. But I've already done that, and I'm content now just to be a lazy man and go play grindcore or black metal, whatever, and then just go home that night and sleep in my own bed. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I've, like I said, I've been there and done that, so it's not exotic for me to, go to Europe. I love going there, but I don't have to anymore.
Yeah. And about Blurring, The first time I noticed his band was when Eric Burke sent some live video on Facebook, and I was like, he can fucking play the drums. God damn it, that guy is like a multi-talented guy. Tell me about Blurring. What's it all about?
Well, yeah, Eric plays drums in Blurring. I've been in the band since summer of 2013. They didn't have a bassist before that because nobody in town could play their music. Blurring is really atonal, tech, evil, like blackened grind. It's so hard to describe. It's just very ugly and harsh, and those guys do guitar chords I've never seen. They're indescribable. They do weird shit with the pinky, and when I learn their songs, it takes a little while, which is ironic because I'm the guy who wrote, 90% of the Crazy Brutal Truth shit on Sounds of the Animal Kingdom. But it's quite a different story when you're on the other end of the gun, and you have to learn somebody else's crazy shit. And yeah, Blurring's just unique. I mean, sure, there's lots of tech death stuff out there now with crazy riffs and all that, but I think we have an edge. The vocals are more black metal. And yeah, it's just, to me, it's good because it's a challenge. It keeps me on my toes, especially as a dude in my mid-50s. If I'm playing all this crazy black tech grind stuff, then it's keeping the brain sharp and, the fingers fast and everything. And it's really something that somebody has to hear. It's not going to be sufficient for me to try to describe it. We have a Bandcamp, and we just recently put out a split 7-inch with Cognizant, who I think are from Texas, with a couple of our newer songs. And when we had shows, we played out here in Rochester all the time. Right when all the COVID shit happens, it's a real shame, because I think you might remember a show that we had a show planned in Rochester around MDF. I think you guys were on it.
Were we?
I'm trying to remember. General Surgery was definitely on it.
Yeah, BIRDFLESH was on it.
And BIRDFLESH was on it, I'm told. Yeah, there was going to be a show in May 2019.
Yeah, but this one got cancelled. Yeah.
It got canceled because that's when all this shit happened.
Yeah.
There was, Blurring and BIRDFLESH would have done a show together.
Oh, so
a year
that
and a
would have
half
been
ago.
the time when I noticed Blurring the first time. Because, I told you, suddenly like on Facebook, like, what the fuck? Why haven't I heard this before? Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, you would have heard it then, but unfortunately, that would have been an amazing show, too. It would have been you guys, General Surgery, Blurring, and a brutal band around here called Gutted Alive. That, it's just your good old traditional, which you want sometimes. It's good to have that, and they're cool dudes, too. So, perhaps we'll have to do that in the future, young man.
Yeah. Young man.
Yeah.
Are you still on your first beer?
I'm still in my first beer because it is 2:15 in the afternoon here, and I'm nursing it. But I am soon going to get up and grab another one. Why? How many have you had already?
No. I just opened my my second one, and whenever you need to take a piss, you just tell me, because then I can also take a piss. All right.
Okay. No, the only reason I'll have to get up soon is just to grab another beverage.
Yeah, do that. Do that.
Okay, let's do that real quick.
Yeah. Hello, me again. Just a reminder, I'm on Patreon, as I said before. The name is Wheelmust.
Motherfucker.
If you like what I do, help me grow bigger and stronger. And look at this shirt. Imagine you in that one. How fucking cool would that be, right? So, for real, it would help out a lot. So, back to Dan. Cheers.
This is the very end of my presidential IPA down the hatch.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? We're not going to talk politics too much, just yay or no, and I think I know the answer for that.
Well,
Were you celebrating?
yes, you could say I'm celebrating. I'll be careful with what I say here. Obviously, not because anybody who watches this show is going to be a Trump fan, but because anybody could put Dan Lilker interview into YouTube and then filter it to the last month. And there could be the slightest possibility, Alice, that there might be a slight overlap of Dan Lilker and Donald Trump fans. Maybe the people who thought that Speaking Should Die was a heartfelt sentiment or something. So I don't want to say anything where somebody's going to go on there later and then my life will be in danger because some crazy dude with a shotgun in Alabama or something.
Yeah.
Things are crazy here with some of those enthusiasts. So especially right now with all this disputes, but yeah, that's politics.
Yeah. Fuck that.
Yeah.
I've spoken too much about that and also about Corona. Two boring topics. Yeah.
Right.
Back to blurring. Like Eric Burke and you go way back, right?
We go back to 2002 when he played guitar for Nuclear Assault in Brazil because the original guitar player, Anthony, was finished playing with us and couldn't make it. So I met him through my wife, Heather, when I moved up here. He was one of the first people I met. And I knew then he played drums, too, ironically, because I think we went to his rehearsal space and we were just dicking around. You know, I think there was a bong in the room, had a Brutal Truth Sounds of the Animal Kingdom sticker on it. So I was like, oh, cool. And he's like, fuck yeah, dude, love Brutal Truth. And then, yeah, I think I just grabbed the guitar and we played the blast beat part from Chapel of Ghouls, and he played drums. You know, and I was like, wow, this guy can play drums too. Cool. But yeah, so I go back with Eric a good 18 years now.
Do you do you hang out at any other place at any other places than gigs and like the rehearsal room? Like, do you like hang out, drink beer, smoke weed? I know that you do that, and like I don't know, eat lasagna.
I should also mention that Calabas played our wedding show at CBGB's, which might have been one previous to that.
Right.
That I was reminded of before we get off the Burke topic. But, well, I mean, less hanging out now with COVID, but generally we would hang out at rehearsal or if we were playing a show or if we were at the same show. Yeah. You know, otherwise, not that much socializing. He's always coming into the record store I work at. He works at the print shop that makes up a lot of shirts for our record store. So he's always stopping in there with a box full of stuff. Just the normal socializing, you know. It's not one of those things where you read those interviews with black metal bands in '93. It always made me laugh where they say, we don't even like each other and just show up for rehearsal. We do not socialize. You know? It's like, oh, okay, cool. Wait, have fun going on tour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
4 weeks in a cold van with wet shoes and bear on your pants in Europe. Congratulations.
Right.
Holy shit. Tell me about the record store. I mean... I tried to figure out where can Dan Lilker work when he's not out playing. I thought of like some industry. No. He's not gonna do that. Maybe a postman, maybe. But fucking a record store. Tell me about it.
Well, it is called the Record Archive, and it's actually been here in Rochester since like 1975 or something. I went there just as a customer before I had a job there. I've been working there since April 2017, so, you know, what is that, 3.5 years or something. And it's just it's huge. It's got the most vinyl for anywhere in the northeast of America, which is a fucking huge swath of territory. You know, we have like 250,000 records.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I have to know where they all are. It's a very good independent business. You know, that's what's important. You know, it's not a chain or anything. There's only one of them. So, you know, the people that own and run the place are totally committed to, you know, making sure that they're very supportive of all the other aspects of music as far as like bands, venues and all that. They understand that it's all, you know, the same kind of where we all have to support each other. And, the people that work there, it's just a really, really cool staff. As I mentioned, it has a bar and event space which obviously has not been as active lately due to the worldwide situation we've been dealing with this year. But before all that, like I've played our store. Blurring has played the Record Archive event space twice, because once a month we would have something called Metal Meltdown, where we would have one of our dudes who works in the back in vinyl and another guy who's actually a local news reporter who was away for a while, but now he's back, come down and spin records. And we'd keep it mostly, you know, there'd be some old school stuff, but there'd be a lot of heavy, intense shit too. You know, you could go from Napalm Death to Angel Witch to Mayhem or whatever. And they started doing live shows there because there's a stage there. So just supporting good local brutal bands, you know. So actually I was talking with a friend who was here last night about it. It got kind of awkward because other metal bands that maybe weren't as intense would come up and be like, hey man, can we play there? And we'd be like, oh yeah, we'll see if we could fit you in. But you know, we like to keep it on the underground brutal side. So
Yeah.
but yeah, the store is just, it's a great place to work. And yes, people are always coming in and recognizing me. Somebody bought a copy of Speak English or Die vinyl yesterday, and I signed it for them. And yeah, it's just really cool store. Some of your fellow countrymen have been there, and I'm sure they could tell you how cool it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a great place for me. It's a great fit. I worked for 14 years before that at a party supply store, which really wasn't as cool.
We have to go there next year if MDF is gonna work. We're not gonna speculate on that, but next time in New York for sure.
Yeah.
When you say it's 250,000 records there, I mean that can't only be extreme music or even like heavy metal music. It's got to be all in all, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a good metal section, but sure, there's everything. There's pop rock, jazz, Americana, which is considered bluegrass, folk or country, you know, blues, R&B, hip hop, you know, comedy, soundtracks, local music, TV shows and radio shows section. You know, there's a lot of different sections for, especially for used vinyl. There's one section that has about 15 records that's actually called Weird. What is it? Because we didn't know how to classify it. Because you'd get a record in, because we buy people's used collections. Most of our shit is used. You'd get a record that would be
cool.
Music to make plants grow. And you're like, well, where the fuck do we put that? So, you know?
At your place.
So, right. No, I don't grow any plants here. But when you have records like that are just indefinable, there's a special little area just for that. So that'll be, you know, right next to, you know, music to fix tractors to or something. I don't know. I'm making that part up.
Yeah,
just the random nature of it.
Tractor metal.
Yeah.
Except from like guitar-based music with distortion, do you have any shocking genre of music that you can like lie down and listen to?
Well, you know, I mean, there's ethereal music I've always appreciated, like, you know, Dead Can Dance, stuff like that. I mean, My Bloody Valentine, but I suppose you could call that guitar distortion music in a way. Yeah. You know, so classical music that I grew up on. I'm not a big shoegaze fan like that My Bloody Valentine stuff, but I like the swirly nature of that. You know, it's kind of nauseating, and always just the pitch is always kind of fluctuating enough where it just has that weird edge to it. Yeah, I grew up on classical music, mostly just weird industrial stuff like Test Department, because some of that stuff is just very harsh sounding and intense without distorted guitars. You know, just bashing on oil drums and sheet metal, and that could still be very intense.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
You mentioned Angel Witch twice so far. Is that one of your favorite bands?
No, I just have great memories of Angel Witch as a band that your new wave of British heavy metal, but the darker stuff.
Yeah.
Where they flirted with those occult themes a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's what led to stuff like Venom, but or even Black Sabbath before that. But
especially the cover art, right?
Yeah.
And that's the first thing you see when you go to a record store. So if you're into Venom, you will easily find Angel Witch. Yeah.
Of course, I think going to a record store is the fondest memory was flipping through and then seeing the cover to In the Sign of Evil.
Yeah.
And then you're like, ooh, I gotta have this. Then you look on the back and, then there's Angel Ripper with the short hair and the shitty corpse paint that just looks like somebody punched him in the face twice.
Yeah.
Yep. It's funny how back then you'd see an album cover and you go, I have to have this. And 99% of the time it worked. Now, I'm digressing now, but also with hardcore, if you looked at the back of a record and it had 20 songs, it was probably good. I only made one mistake with that.
Which one?
There was some band called TMA, and their album was called What's for Dinner, and they had 20 songs, and it was all shitty pop punk back then. And
right.
I said, well, I just wasted $8.99, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. Worst thing has happened. Angel Witch had a huge upswing in the Swedish metal scene like 7 years ago. Like from being a band that nobody knew about, every like metal pub that I went to played "You're an Angel Witch, you're an Angel Witch." Yeah, nowadays I need to have a couple of beers to enjoy that song because I heard it so many times. But that's one of the most expensive vinyls. I actually feel ashamed when I pay like $80 for a vinyl. I don't know what your prices are. I have no idea. But
it depends on the rarity.
Yeah.
She's gonna blow dry her hair, so if that sounds too noisy during that, then you tell me if that's gonna be a problem. Can you hear this?
Yeah, I can hear it. But I mean, this is not a problem, really. The quality, the quality is within the words, not the sound.
Yeah, it's just a nice rushy noise in the background. It's like that third Ulver record or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure. Angel Witch, I mean, out of all those bands back then, I like them better than, like, let's say, Satan, who were called Satan, but, maybe weren't as satanic or anything. But sure. Good memories. They didn't do much good after that. I know they did Screaming and Bleeding or whatever other stuff, but I don't think it was as good, so sometimes a band should just keep their old stuff and not continue, but sometimes it's good for bands to continue. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't like to be the judge.
No, exactly. It's very easy to judge other bands. We all love the 3 at least, the first Metallica records, maybe the 4th. Matt Harvey likes the 5th. But after that, I mean, it's hard. But you should not judge, of course.
Well, I could judge Injustice for All because there's no bass on it. So that's a problem. That ruins that record for me.
Going back to Nuclear Assault, I saw an old video online a couple years ago, and I saw the MTV logo on it. You guys was played at MTV. Was that like frequently, or was it like that show at that time, or was it like a week or a month? Or tell me about it.
You mean the videos we did, or when we were actually interviewed on there?
Tell me all about it. Yeah.
Well, back then, that's when MTV actually played videos and, did enough stupid reality shows, which by the way, I blame them for.
Yeah.
They started all that stupid reality TV, and then you end up in fucking Trump. But anyway.
I never thought about that.
Oh, shit, yeah, think about that connection. Yeah. Anyway, back then, America, fuck yeah. Back then it was a big thing, on the label. It was a big thing to get your video on MTV, but there was the Headbangers Ball. So they would show that on Saturday night from like midnight till 3 a.m. So if you wanted to see the good videos, you had to stay up late on Saturday night, so people would hang out and have a party and watch the videos. And our first video on there was Brainwashed, which was on the Survive record. And it was just, that was on IRS. That's a whole nother story. I don't even feel like talking about all that, how we went back and forth from IRS to Combat with In Effect and all that, which ended up not being the best idea. But to make a long story short, we said, okay, so we're going to get you guys a budget, and you're going to make a video, and then we're going to get it on MTV. And they did. And that was a big thing back then. You found out, okay, your video is going to debut on, October something, and you tell all your friends, stay up late, perhaps you might have to do something to make you stay up late. That's that you can get in directly from South America. But anyway, we also ended up, John and I, to promote Brainwashed, we went actually on the show and had an interview with the DJ, Adam Curry. Perfect looking blonde guy or whatever the fuck. He seemed genuinely interested, unlike the second time when we went back and did the one with Ricky Rackman, which was like some glam guy.
Oh,
but
one of those.
I just thought the whole thing was funny. I didn't take the whole thing seriously. I mean, MTV would play good music for 3 hours a week, and the rest of the time it was, just shit. So I just said, okay, we'll go on your show and, answer your questions and everything like that. And it was cool. It made your mother proud that you were on TV. Sure, you could brag about at family gatherings and everything. But for the most part, it was just one of the things you did. You made records, you went on tour, you did a video. Doing videos is boring, dude. You got to do the same song lip syncing, 15, 20 times with some director, and you're pretending you're playing along, and it's just being blasted in a boombox, and the cymbals have foam on them so the guy can look like they're on the bottom so you can't see, so the guy can play along without interfering with hearing the original recording that you have to follow. Lip syncing sucks, but that was part of it, because obviously you want it to sound like the recording but look like you're playing it now, and that's the magic. But yeah, you can ask Milli Vanilli about that, right?
Yeah, holy shit, that story. Give me back your, what is it called? The golden, not Oscar or Golden Globe. They get a music prize, but they had to give it back, right? Right, yeah, they had to give their award back. That's great. I would have fucking wiped my ass with it first. Yeah. So that was MTV. It was just something you did, and it made your mom proud. But I always thought the whole thing was funny. I didn't take the whole thing completely seriously, because I knew they didn't really give a shit about our music. They were just doing that because it was part of their programming. So whatever. The first 2 videos that I remember on MTV has to be Spin Doctors, 2 Princes, and wait for it, Green Jelly. You remember this band?
Oh, yes, Green Jelly. Green Jelly, I was just putting some of their records away and going, 2 of these is enough up here, put the rest in the bottom. Yeah. Sure. At least back then MTV played music.
Yeah.
And it's certainly fucking, I don't know why they even have the M in their name anymore now, but...
M is for the misery you gave me.
It was funny because when video came out, there were certain people who suffered for that because they weren't visually pleasing looking. Do you remember that song Sailing by that guy Christopher Cross?
No.
Okay, well, that was just like a big fucking ballad rock song back then. And the point was, when it was time to make videos, everybody discovered he was this big fat cunt. And, he just didn't look good. So everyone's like, oh, God, is that what he looks like? Oh, Christ, I don't want to hear that. Yeah, so. Yeah. Really. Just, only people watching this, just look up Christopher Cross Sailing. You'll see what I mean. And then you'll go, oh, that fucking song.
All right.
I heard that in an elevator. Yeah. Yeah.
I will need to check that out tonight.
Yeah.
God damn it. So, being on MTV isn't the thing that you're the most proud of in your career. Tell me instead about what's the like top 3 things that you've been the most proud of during all these years?
Well, when Nuclear Assault got to headline the Hammersmith Odeon the first time, I think it was 1989, or I don't even remember exactly what year it was. It was the year we had the video and the live album from it, live at Hammersmith. The point is, when you had that Motorhead album when you were a kid, No Sleep Till Hammersmith, and you're like, oh, this is a Motorhead live album. What's this venue? You know, oh, the Hammersmith Odeon, and that became this big prestigious venue. So, and then you heard, oh, Metallica was going to Europe, and oh, they played the Hammersmith Odeon in London. Oh, what a big deal. So, by the time Nuclear Assault had reached that level in the late 80s, and we got to actually headline the Hammersmith Odeon ourselves, you know, with Dark Angel and some other bands, I think Candlemass. That was a big prestigious thing for us. Like, woohoo, we did it. Now we're playing the Hammersmith Odeon and headlining. That was a big thing. I think the first time Nuclear Assault went to Japan, that was a really big moment. Brutal Truth, the first time when we did that tour in 94 with Punch Extension Macabre in Europe. Of course, there was the show at Cafe 44 that goes down. That's a big historic show in Swedish grind history, I know.
Yeah, I've seen pictures from that tour. I've seen some old pictures of Macabre, and Lance, he looks so fucking young. Holy shit.
Yeah, Lance, well, yeah. Probably had a fresh mullet then.
Dennis looks the same. It's just fucking
Dennis,
crazy.
yeah.
He doesn't look like, maybe like he has aged like 5 years. Something like that. It's just crazy.
Dennis, and I'll say this because I love him, but Dennis is basically Quagmire from the Family guy.
I've been on tour with him for 3 weeks.
Before I forget, on that tour, talk about great memories, that was the first time I played in Prague. And that in fact, is one of the first international grind shows in Prague, because this is 94. Now, as you know, that's 5 years after the wall went down, but it took a while for all these organizations and people like Chirby to build up and establish contacts. Not that he did that show, he was just a fan at that show, he was too young. Just the point being, people in Eastern Europe had to, like, all of a sudden we have democracy. Okay, now let's have a booking agency. You know, nothing happened overnight. So by the time I got to play a proper Eastern European show was that tour with Pungent and Macabre in Prague in 94, and that was just fucking insane. So you can imagine, you know, these people having waited for years to see bands like us that they'd heard about, and now they can see them. We're finally over there. You know, it's democracy, so you don't have to worry about, you know, the cops fucking beating the shit out of you on your way home. You know, but by the way, it still happens in Chile up until like 92, by the way, with Pinochet. But yeah, so that was a really good memory too.
Fucking cool.
So probably those.
We have talked a lot about Nuclear Assault. We have talked a little bit about Blurring. We also talked a little bit about Brutal Truth. Hello, me again. Just a reminder, I'm on Patreon, as I said before.
Brutal Truth, the best part. Just that feeling of going on stage and playing music that's so intense that you could practically see lightning, you know. Just the playing grindcore, it's obviously fast music, you know, we all play fast music. There's different types of speed and everything, but intense music is meant for a live environment, and the more intense it is, you know, the more natural it is for that live environment. So playing full speed chaos grind, you know, with a, people said we invented the bomb blast. I don't know what these fucking terms are or anything, but I just think no one particular show, or maybe, yeah, sure, going to Japan the first time with Brutal Truth. I mean, going to Japan with anybody is intense because Japan fucking rules. They just love it. But just feeling that energy when you play live, and you know the crowd, you're feeding off the energy of the crowd, and obviously they're feeding off your energy because you're pummeling them with speed and distortion, and it's just that indescribable feeling, that charged atmosphere, you know. It's just, you can see that on YouTube or something. Like, for instance, we'll play a show, Brutal Truth will play Obscene Extreme, and then 2 days later, you know, you'll be somewhere else. You could watch it on your phone or something, but it's just not the same as being there. And I've even said that sometimes to people's cell phones. During live shows, I'll look right at somebody's phone and go, hope all you motherfuckers out there are watching this, but you should have been there. You know, which isn't fair to somebody who's watching it from Indonesia or something. But still, the point being that the main thing with Brutal Truth was just the live shows and the intensity, just the extremity of it. It has to be felt. You know, it can't be just, I don't know. You can't watch it. You have to be there.
Yeah, for sure. And during all these years, and like, think big, like all your band members from all over the years, who has been the best, like, drinking buddy? Who has been the guy when Dan Lilker felt pissed off or sad or wanted to party, or you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you needed a shoulder or somebody to just take a beer and cheers, you know.
Probably John from Nuclear Assault, because he does enjoy a good drink. We wrote all the old Nuclear Assault stuff just with shitty 6-packs of cans of beer that we got at the local store around the corner in like 1985 and everything. And, you know, we had just kind of like a drinking and hanging out culture. And, you know, he likes stronger stuff than I do. I don't really, you know, sometimes he likes to have a bottle of, you know, whiskey or something. But probably John, you know, we just sit around and fucking have a few beers, whether it's on tour or even just at home. Brutal Truth was more of a weed band. You know, we drank and everything. But, with SOD, it was really, you know, the guys in Anthrax didn't really drink as much. Maybe later in their years and everything. But, yeah. Probably John, if you're talking just drinking. You know, I mean, Rich from Brutal Truth was a great guy to party with and everything. You know, we'd get wasted and have a laugh and make fun of people.
I think this is the last question of
you froze.
of Nuclear Assault.
There you are.
It freezes sometimes, but I just edit it out or fix it. That's the reason why I have two views, two angles. But Nuclear Assault, you guys, you have had these questions like 10 times before I asked this one. The final Assault tour.
Oh.
I think I've seen you at least 3 times on the final Assault, and this is at least during the time of 2 years. Is this the final Assault? What's the plan?
That was never my idea. That's what I call pulling an Aussie, when you keep saying, this is our last tour, make sure and come out and see us. This is your last opportunity. If you don't come now, you're not going to see us ever again. And then 6 months later, they say the same shit. So I was always... That whole thing was something that Glenn started, with calling it the final Assault. Glenn Evans, the drummer. And I was like, fine, as long as we do it once. But people start to get very cynical when you say, oh, it's the final Assault, and then you still call it that 8 months later, and then you try to justify it like, well, that was the final Assault in France. Now we're doing the one in Slovakia, so it's still okay. So I understand your cynicism, and I feel it, because I don't think people should be led to believe something that isn't true. And it's also just, we would call something the final Assault and say we're done, and we meant it, and then some of it is just because people were so earnestly into the bands and say, oh, come on, we'd love to see you guys one more time. Why does it have to be the final Assault? Can't you guys just do... So you go, okay, because these people genuinely want to see you again. So some of it is just really a little bit of guilt and just recognizing the fact that you don't want to disappoint all these people. And we'll even say, but we already said it was the final Assault. We tell promoters that. We already said we weren't going to do it. And they go, I got 600 people that would love to see you, and I'm one of them. And then you just don't have the heart to say, nope, we said it was the final assault, it's done, it's over. So some of it is that we just give in because we're touched by the fact that people still care and go, fuck that, don't make it the final assault. We want to see you again. We don't care what you called it. That's happened a lot. So that's another reason. Just because of the genuine enthusiasm of fans, and you don't want to let them down. So you just roll your eyes and go, okay, but you realize that this isn't the final assault, you know, because that was last. So shit happens.
Yeah. So what's the name of the next tour?
Yeah, right. The
Final Countdown tour.
right. The not quite final, maybe who the fuck knows assault. Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit. Nick Barker from I mean, he has played a shitload of bands, and I listened to his drumming for many years. And he played some shows with you. Is he still the drummer of Nuclear Assault 5 shows?
Well, Nick did a bunch of shows with us, starting, you know, in the mid 215s, whatever you want to call it, the last decade. Well, Glenn Evans ended up not being able to play with us anymore. He had an arm injury that made it impossible for him to play drums. So Nick's an old friend of mine, and just obviously an old thrash fan and a great drummer. So he always said, you know, if you ever need a drummer, I'd love to fucking do it. So he did a bunch of shows with us. And there's also another guy here in the States who lives in Atlanta, an old friend of mine, Andrew, who has played some U.S. shows. It's kind of like if we had shows overseas, it might make more sense for Nick to do them because of the cost of the flights. And I think there was a period where he couldn't do a few shows with us because of stuff he was doing with Roharia. So we got an old friend of ours here, Andrew, who's the same thing where before he moved to Atlanta, he lived here in Rochester, and we'd be out drinking. And he would just go, I fucking love your shit. You ever need a drummer, you let me know. And I thought of him. But I'm digressing. But yeah, Nick, just great dude. Fun to fucking hang out with. Great drummer. And he was returning the favor because I had done some shows with Lockup too when Shane couldn't do them. So Nick and I had already a history of being, you know, a rhythm section, or however you want to call this, with bass and drums.
The only time I met Nick Barker, I felt like a fanboy. I think I hid it pretty well. I think it was at God damn it, was this Maryland Death Fest? Maybe. He played.
Could have been.
I think he played double shows, by the way, in California. Wait, maybe it was California. Yeah, it has to be California. He played double shows. It was with Brujeria and Nuclear Assault, right?
The Oakland one?
Yeah.
Did Brujeria play the Oakland Death Fest too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he would have done that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it must have been there. Yeah. I mean.
Right. That's when Revenge wanted to headline, and we were like, "Please go ahead. We don't care." Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I never heard Revenge before. I mean, I probably have to backtrack that shit, but I never got into that band. You know.
Oh, it's just that angry Canadian war metal stuff.
Yeah. You don't sound like a fan.
Well, I like Blasphemy, but that's more just evil. No, I don't mind Revenge. I play them on my little radio show once in a while. But when we played that California Death Fest, Nuclear Assault was supposed to play last, and Revenge was supposed to go on before us. And Revenge went to the promoters and said, "We'd really like to headline the show. Do you think you could arrange that?" So the promoters went up to us, a bunch of guys mostly in their 50s or late 40s, and said, "Do you guys mind if Revenge plays last and you guys will play earlier?" And we were like, "Please, go ahead. We're not concerned with prestige. We just want to play earlier and go to sleep earlier." So we let them headline, and that was no biggie for us. You know, it's not about we want to play last. These days it's just like we just don't want to go on at 1 a.m.
What is absolutely the best time for you to be on stage?
I like going on stage about fucking 11:30. or that can translate to 23:30, because it's not too late, but it's late enough that everybody in the crowd's nice and lubricated.
Exactly.
You know, no, it's just it really depends on the whole thing. You know, we've all done this. You get to a festival area at 2:00, and they're like, "Okay, you guys are on at 12:30." So now you're going on stage 10 and a half hours later, and then you have to try not to drink all that time.
Yeah, fun.
So that could be a rough one. So especially in like Czech Republic or something,
God damn it.
where it's a beer culture and beer is cheaper than water.
Yeah, it actually is. I talked with the organ dealer guys. I never thought about that because I never think I ordered water in Czech. But one of their band members is straight edge, and yeah, he actually paid more for the water than the other guys paid for the beer.
Right. Yeah.
How could that happen? About not playing last, I mean, who would like to play last? You talk about prestige, but I mean, it's nice to play and you have like 1 or 2 or 3 bands playing after you, because then you can enjoy the other shows and drink and say hi to friends and talk to fans and so on. So I totally understand that point of view.
Yeah. I mean, people who are overly concerned about playing last all the time, because they think that's the headlining thing. Yeah, this prestigious thing we talked about. But to me, it's like, as long as there's a bunch of people watching us, and a bunch of people in the hall, then that's fine. Yeah. Maybe I don't want to play first if it's America and there's still big security guards checking people, for guns or cocaine or at the door or something. But still, no. I don't mind a nice slot, late evening, not too late. I don't like going on super late. I remember Brutal Truth played one of I think it was with Full Force, one of those big German festivals where, that's right, it was with Full Force, because they had a stage called the Nuppelnacht stage. And apparently in German, Nuppelnacht means night of the very fast snare.
Okay.
And the show started at midnight. It was just us, Brutal Truth, and a bunch of Norwegian black metal bands, because they also played fast too. So it was like Brutal Truth, Mayhem, Satyricon, Immortal, and like one other band in. Yeah.
Misplaced.
No, not really,
in some
because
kind of way, but not still.
Right, slightly misplaced, because maybe philosophy-wise, but we were all friends like that by then, and we were all just kind of laughing, like, why do we have to play so late when we're the fastest bands? Yeah. We're the bands that want to play really fast and then just relax and everything. But yeah, I was joking about that with Frost from Satyricon. Like, it's the very fast snare stage, man. You better fucking nail it.
That's how a professional talk.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah. That was that Nuppelnacht show. Attila from Mayhem would like to dress in interesting outfits. That night he had a really perfect white suit, like a game show host or something. And he started off, behind the amps with his, fucking horrible Attila vocals, and then he walks out, and he's got this fucking perfect white suit. Looks like it cost, like $1,500, perfectly cut and everything. And we're like, man, guy's out of his fucking head. I mean, I've seen him as the Easter Bunny too, so who knows? Yeah.
When did you see him as the Easter Bunny?
I forgot, but maybe it was just a picture. But I've seen him as the Easter Bunny. I knew people in Ireland who saw him when he was dressed as a tree. One time he's dressed as a garbage bag. He just took a fucking bin liner and took all the stuff that was in it and taped it to himself. I don't know why I'm talking about Attila. I think the beer's kicking in.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Still on the second.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to stay on the second one because it's only 3:00 here, and I still have to be a functioning human being.
Yeah, responsible. For the people listening, if you hear noises in the background, it's Heather cooking dinner for Immolation, was it?
We are going to a really good friends of ours' house that's been an old friend of Heather's for years, and she is the girlfriend of Ross from Immolation, who I actually introduced them. And, so he now lives up here too. Now Ross, Dolan, and Bob Vigna, the original members of Immolation. Bob still lives down in the New York City area, but he is up here visiting. He's bringing some merch up for the Immolation merch store to bring in some supplies. So he comes up once in a while. And of course, now with all the COVID stuff, you have to be careful who you're associating with. No. But yes, after this, when we were done with this interview, we were going over to their house to have some lasagna and stuff like that. Some good Italian food, because my wife here is a very amazing cook. And we're going over there to have lasagna and have a laugh. And we'll send you a picture later. I'll have to get your cell phone number, because as you know, I'm not on any social media because I don't care about any of that shit. And
Good for you.
yeah, and perhaps people will find that interesting, that I'm going to go hang out with the very important half of Immolation, as we always joke. I'm not saying Alex and Steve aren't important. Just saying Ross and Bob are the original guys. And when Brutal Truth and Immolation toured with Cannibal Corpse back in '96 across the States, that's when I really bonded with those guys, and we had a lot of laughs. And they were having a laugh.
Yeah.
Having a laugh.
Fucking awesome. I think for the viewers at home, I try to keep this around 1.5 hours. We're gonna stay a little bit. I'm gonna end the recording, but we're gonna talk. So I'm gonna do this again.
Okay.
So thanks a shitload. Thank you very, very much for taking this time with me. So it's always a pleasure talking with you. It was nice to see Heather as well. And I hope to see both of you guys very, very soon when this fucking Corona shit is over.
Yeah, same here, man. Always a pleasure talking, and hopefully we can do it in the flesh soon.
Yeah. God damn it. And yeah. And fucking stay safe. Don't get sick. I've heard a lot of stories about that.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
No, say goodbye.
And
we're still gonna do a little bullshitting after the thing is turned off.
Yeah. But for the viewers, I'm gonna say insert jingle here. Hello, me again. Just a reminder, I'm on Patreon, as I said before.